Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Raw's Hot Mess. No, welcome to SpaceWeek Live for Sunday, May 16th, 2021. I'd like to start out by welcoming you, thanking you for coming, and please let me know if I'm coming through choppy. Okay, it looks like it may be choppy because I'm getting buffering myself. All right, so what just happened, and this is an interesting data point, actually. What just happened was Starlink. So, all right, so as you may be aware, I have Starlink satellite internet beta service at my home, and I've been experimenting with it. And so I actually had my computer plugged into my Starlink internet connection. Now, the thing with Starlink is it provides great speed, a lot more download speed than upload speed, but it provides great speed, but it's not fully deployed yet. The constellation is still being put up there by SpaceX. And so there are occasional dropouts and occasional periods of poor reception where there aren't enough satellites in view. And so what happened was I was trying to actually stream over that that Starlink connection. So it is not ready for streaming yet, and in fact it's not really ready for gameplay yet, because I was trying to play Elder Scrolls yesterday on my Starlink connection and it kept freezing up and crashing the game. But I can do most of my just sort of general browsing on it. But yeah, so what I had to do was turn off my Starlink connection in my computer, and it switched over to Google Fiber, which is, you know, gigabit landline service. So here we are. All right, moving right along. Oh, yes. BennuCam. So I had, at my old house, I had a BennuCam set up that so that we could watch Bennu if he was in his cat bed, sleeping or whatever. But at the new house, I haven't quite been sure how to do BennuCam, because he's all over the place and he doesn't usually hang out in my office. He's usually on his cat tower in the other room. So what I did was I set up a webcam in the other room, pointed at his cat tower, and so now we can see BennuCam on the Starman stream, and I would have it in this stream, except yeah, except that widget is not cooperating, and I can't monkey with it right now. So let's go ahead and get to the news. Oh, look at that, it just went offline. Good timing. Let's go ahead and get to the news of the last week. Last Monday, NASA probe OSIRIS-REx departed asteroid Bennu. They named the asteroid after my cat, or vice versa, one of the two. The oddly shaped glob of loose rocks that the probe has been orbiting since December 2018. So the acronym OSIRIS-REx actually represents the big ideas that the science plan of the mission is based on: origins, spectral interpretation, resource identification, security, regolith, explorer. It's a mouthful, but OSIRIS-REx is pretty easy to remember. Last October, the probe performed a touch-and-go maneuver where it lowered itself down to the asteroid, blew out a puff of gas, which caused the surface rocks to fly all over the place, and it gathered some of that precious material in a container, a sample container. They soon discovered, though, that they were actually losing material because the sample container wasn't fully sealed. So they quickly placed the container inside the return capsule and closed it up tight. Now OSIRIS-REx is on its way home. It will arrive in 2013, at which point NASA will recover it, and they can start their analysis of the precious samples. Then on Friday, the Chinese Zhurong rover landed on Mars. It's currently still contained within the Tianwen-1's landing system, and so the Chinese Tianwen-1 mission consists of an orbiter, a lander, and a rover. And so once the rover does set foot or wheels on the Martian surface, China will become the first and only country, to successfully complete a triple play mission on Mars, consisting of an orbiter, a lander, and a rover. We've had all three, but not at the same time. Now, Zhurong is designed to last for 3 months, but if previous Mars missions are any guide, it is likely to remain functioning for a number of years to come. Similar to Spirit and Opportunity, Zhurong has large solar panels that fold out and charge an array of batteries. Zhurong has 4 batteries, whereas Spirit and Opportunity had 3. Now, the solar panels on Zhurong have a special anti-friction surface, which should help to prevent the ubiquitous Martian dust from settling on them. They can also clean themselves by tilting to allow the dust to slide off. Okay, I have 2013, 2020, I must mean 2023. 2013 was a few years ago, so obviously it can't arrive in the past. So, yeah, I meant to type a 2, but I typed a 3, so 2023. This is 2020, yeah, it's 2021. Good Lord. So yes, anti-friction surface on the solar panels. So yeah, so if you recall, Opportunity got, well, cold and lost power because it was receiving insufficient sunlight in the midst of a Martian global dust storm, and it was unable to heat itself to keep itself warm during the Martian nighttime, and also got a lot of dust deposited on its solar panels, as well as the dust storm itself, which prevented it from receiving enough sunlight to keep itself alive. Well, the Zhurong rover has methods to prevent that from happening to itself. An additional battery, the anti-friction surface on the solar panels, the ability to tilt the solar panels to sort of let the dust just slide off, as well as special heaters that, like a greenhouse, actually, that allows it to keep itself warm. Then on Saturday was launch day, with 3 separate events. First was Electron by Rocket Lab with their Running Out of Toes mission, named so because it was their 20th mission. The payload consisted of 2 small sats for Black Sky Global's Earth observation constellation. Now, the launch looked good up until the second stage, well, up until stage separation, which we will get to in a moment, but let's check out the launch.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2...
So, yeah, everything looked good up until the point where about 2.5 minutes into the flight, which we can watch here.
Let's wait for the call out for those 3 events.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal. And MECO confirmed.
Successful separation.
Staged ignition.
Recovery
Analyst.
to
And analyst recovery, proceed with sequence 59, stage 1 recovery operations.
So let's go back and take another look at that. So what happened was, all right, so we see here the expanding exhaust plume from the first stage. And when they get up to MECO, main engine cutoff, that appeared to go fine. But then, okay, so we see the first stage dropping away. And then when the second engine kicks on, we see the craft violently turn away from the first stage. Now, normally, when the second stage engages, it boosts directly away from the falling first stage, and you normally see that during launches. But this time, it I'm messing with the volume here. This time, boom, it kicked off to the side and started tumbling out of control. Now, if you look at the speed is just sort of all over the place. It's going up and down, and the second stage engine, instead of continuing to fire, has deignited. It has lost thrust, and it's cooling off. You can see that glow departing from the engine. Now, it's unclear exactly what happened, whether the engine was gimbaled in the wrong direction. I know there's been some analysis on that, by other YouTubers, but yeah. So unfortunately, as soon as the second stage kicked in, the second stage engine kicked in. The second stage tumbled out of control, and they lost the mission. So it broke into an unknown number of pieces on its way down and splashed somewhere in the South Pacific Ocean, because of course it launched from New Zealand. Then, and so yes, so there will be an investigation. They'll have to, they already issued their mea culpa. Now, they did experience another failure last year. It was last July 4th, in fact. Independence Day here, not in New Zealand. But, so this is their second failure in 1 year. Prior to last July 4th, though, I don't think they had any failures. So they're having a tough time here. And I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of it, but in the meantime, they did successfully recover the first stage, which came down on a parachute and splashed down gently in the Pacific. So they have been working on a helicopter catch technique for the first stage, but they haven't implemented that yet in production. They've tested it at least once, but that's it. But they do have a parachute splashdown recovery that they have been doing to reuse the boosters, similar to SpaceX and their fairing splashdowns, because they actually decommissioned the two Go Searcher and Go Navigator, I think they were called. No, I'm sorry, Miss Chief and Miss Tree were the names of the ships with the giant 200-foot nets that would catch the fairings. But SpaceX, I guess, gave up on that because either it was not economical to operate those large vessels, or they found that they were able to sufficiently refurbish the fairings after they splashed down in the salty water. Then later that same day, SpaceX launched their 28th batch of Starlink satellites, 52 this time, if I'm not mistaken, plus 2 rideshare smallsats. It was this particular first stage booster's 8th flight. Whoopsie. You're playing. You shouldn't be playing. It was this booster's 8th flight. The first flight was actually Demo 2 last year that carried Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the ISS in the Crew Dragon Endeavour. It's been a busy booster. Let's check out the launch.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Falcon 9 is pitching downrange.
They gave us some sweet booster cam footage of the launch, which we haven't always had because of complications with NOAA regulations. Yeah, down with NOAA, up with SpaceX. But yeah, the launch was good, the deployment was good, and we got some really sweet landing cam views, which I shall show you now.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
At a start of stage 1.
Terminal
As a
guidance.
reminder, we may lose coverage of the vehicle as it attempts to land on the drone ship.
Landing legs have deployed.
Landing leg deployed.
Stage 2 FTS.
On the left-hand side of the screen, got a beautiful view of a successful landing.
So the drone cam cut out, but the booster cam stayed steady throughout, which was awesome. I wish they would post some like raw footage of these things. I mean, they've got the footage. I'm sure they have it all archived. Wouldn't kill them to post it somewhere so people could take a look at it without it being in a little, pics in pics screen. So then, after SpaceX, it was Black Brant's turn. Black Brant 12. So this suborbital rocket was ready to launch NASA's KinetX, or KinetX experiment. It's a so being a suborbital rocket, it can actually achieve great altitude, but it does not reach orbital speeds. So Black Brant is actually capable, or Black Brant 12, I should say, is actually capable of, and let me pull up a picture of Black Brant 12 for you. So open image in new tab. All right, so there's a Black Brant 12. It's only what, 55 feet tall, so it's a it's a small rocket. It's a thin rocket. It's suborbital, but it can actually reach altitudes of up to what, like 1,200 kilometers or something, quite high, multiple times higher than the space station orbits. But again, it doesn't achieve orbital velocities. But in any case, the KinetX mission is intended to study the interactions of ionized particles in Earth's magnetosphere. So what it was going to do was go up to an altitude of a little over 200 miles, so close to the space station's altitude, and release a barium vapor, a vapor of the barium, of the element barium, which would then disperse in the vacuum because it's, well above the Kármán line up there. And the neutral particles of the barium vapor would then disperse, would disperse in a symmetrical fashion, and the ionized particles of the barium vapor would then align themselves along the Earth's magnetic field lines and undergo color changes as they absorb solar radiation. So it'll be an interesting experiment to see. Like the color would change from like green to violet, is my understanding, that it changes to violet as the particles become more saturated with ultraviolet radiation, that become more ionized or whatever. So now, so it was going to launch from Wallops Island, Virginia, on a southeasterly trajectory, and then deploy its vapor over, like north of Bermuda, about 500 miles away. So it was going to potentially be visible from a large portion of the eastern United States, including my location here in Charlotte. So what happened during the stream, which was a royal mess, was I packed up all my photography equipment, my camera, my couple of tripods, my GoPro, and I headed, like during the live stream, while I was trying to stream it, I drove like a mile down the road to where there's a view down the length of a golf course to the east. And, you know, because I'm surrounded by all these tall trees, I don't really have a view to the horizon. But the golf course was sort of my best vantage point without having to really drive, you know, somewhere else in the city, and I'm not sure where I would go. But anyway, so I set up my tripods. I was standing out there. I was trying to monitor the stream while also monitoring the live broadcast, the feed from Wallops Island, and my feed at home that was providing you with your raw space stream, it kept like freezing. So and my phone wasn't letting me remote into my home computer to fix it. So I was really having a hard time. And every time I would switch from the live feed, from the NASA feed, to any other app, like it would pause the playback, and that threw me off, because I would go back and I would like refresh the page to start to resume the NASA feed, and on desktop, when I do that, it takes me to the current moment, and there's no option for like scrolling back to a previous time or anything like that on the IBM video streaming platform. So I ended up, like, what happened was, like 3 or 4 minutes would pass, and then the guy would call out, you know, T-minus 8 minutes. And I was like, wait a minute. He said T-minus 7 minutes like 5 minutes ago. So, or whatever. So, yeah, my time was all off. And so I thought that I was looking at a broadcast from a few minutes before. So I moved the little slider on the video, and oh my gosh, I'm looking at a rocket flying in the air. So I thought they had launched. So I was like, you know, obviously I didn't see anything in the sky, and I thought that I had missed the launch. So I was like, phooey on this. So I packed everything up, drove back home, sat down, and then I realized, and then I was very confused, because once I fixed the live feed, which was frozen, it said that, like, they narrated that it was T-minus 10 minutes. And I was like, what? We've already had like 2 or 3 T-minus 10 minutes. What's going on? And they already launch? So I thought somehow my live feed was like stuck way in the past. But then, as it turns out, they scrubbed. So I do not know what was going on with my feed on the phone, whether I was like looking into the future or whether it was playing something else. I don't know what happened, but it was a royal mess. And afterwards, I just, you know what? I don't smoke, but if I did, I would need to have smoked at that point, because that was stressful. However, I did get the chance to stand outside for a little while with some bunnies that were hopping around the golf course that were very cute. Yeah, so moving on to this next week, or rather this week, tonight, Sunday, May 16th, at approximately 8:04 p.m. Eastern, 12:04 a.m. GMT, on the 17th, the Black Brant 12 suborbital rocket will make another attempt to launch NASA's Kinetics experiment. According to the commentator last night, this will be their last opportunity. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, Astronomy Films is saying that if Kinetics doesn't launch tonight, the entire mission will be pushed back to sometime later this year. And I'm not sure why that's necessary, but there you go. So this is their last chance. And the delays have not been caused by technical issues. They've been caused by clouds over Bermuda, because Bermuda gets cloudy, and they have to have clear skies in order to observe the experiment. So it's not that the vehicle can't take it, it's that they need to be able to see. And so without clear skies, they have to push the experiment back. Then on Monday, tomorrow, Monday, May 17th, at 1:35 p.m. Eastern, 17:35 GMT, a ULA Atlas V will launch the SBIRS GEO-5 for the U.S. Space Force. This is a geostationary satellite, which will help provide early warning missile detection, so national defense stuff. Then on Wednesday, May 19th, so that will be broadcast, but I suspect they won't show us the deployment because it's a national security related satellite. Then on Wednesday, May 19th at 12:10 a.m. estimated Eastern, that's 4:10 a.m. GMT, a Chinese Long March 4B will launch the Haiyang 2D Earth observation satellite. Then on Thursday, May 20th, at a time to be determined, a Chinese Long March 7 will launch the Tianzhou 2 resupply ship to the fledgling Tiangong space station's Tianhe module. Tianhe just launched a couple of weeks ago, so this will be the first supply mission to the station. There are not any humans up there yet, so I presume that the supply ship will just stay docked until the first taikonauts arrive, whenever that is. I don't have a date on that. That's all the events for this coming week. I'd like to take the time to thank and welcome our new channel member, members, K2TJH, HotGlass Radio and Ham, Space Hams. Welcome to the channel. I've seen you've been a frequent visitor for a little while now, and now you have cast your vote, and you have access to all the there you go, all the custom emojis and whatnot, other perks of channel membership. Questions. Let's go ahead and get to your questions. All right, today, so, oops, there we go. All right. Mark Desert. I always wonder why they don't equip Mars rovers with arms that can scrub the dust away from vital parts of the machines. That's a good question. Why don't they have a little brush that can, or a little squeegee that can go over the surface of the solar panels yeah. Well, yeah, moving parts introduce a lot of potential points of failure, and so the Chinese method for this this Zhurong rover is to give it a special flubber surface that resists, that's anti-friction, and to simply tilt the panels so that the dust slides off, like you know, a non-stick pan, Teflon pan or whatever. Now, if the Martian dust is that sticky, like if it really, you know, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of electrostatic adhesion that the movement of the Martian dust, causes a buildup of charge, and the charge makes it stick to things. I'm not sure. But, yeah, maybe at some point we can come up with a mechanical method of like a little Windex bottle or something to polish up the solar panels. Also, Mark Dezer, what is the theoretical lifespan of a Falcon 9 first stage? So it has long been the stated goal of SpaceX to be able to launch Falcon 9 first stage boosters up to or at least 10 times. Now, they have achieved that goal finally. I mean, I say finally, but remember, Falcon 9s have only been landing since late 2015. That's barely more than 5 years ago. It's been a long 5 years. And, yeah, so the original plan was to reuse the boosters at least 10 times. Theoretically, I mean, they could with each landing, they have to refurbish the boosters. They have to fix the legs and so on and so forth. And the more successive times a booster is used, the older it gets, stuff breaks, whatever. So there's going to be a point of diminishing returns where it's more hassle to overhaul the booster, the geriatric booster, than to just make a new one. But I don't know, maybe 20 times, 30 times, who knows? I mean, the space shuttles flew many dozens of times, even though there were some mishaps there, and they did undergo significant refurbishment before every launch. But really, it boils down to cost versus benefit. Is it more trouble to repair this booster or to refurbish it than to just retire it and put it on static display somewhere, or recycle it, or whatever they do? Astronomy films with the KinetX info. Mark Dezer, won't many uninformed people go into full panic mode when they see the light show from KinetX? Possibly. There's probably a lot of Bermudans that will look up and be like, OMG, the aliens are invading, or is there some huge solar flare going on, or what's going on? Now, the violet coloring of the ionized barium vapor is not going to be as visually obvious. It's not going to be as easy to see as like the green. So it may not be a brilliant display. I really have no idea, though, what to expect, which is why I wanted to catch it. I wanted to try to witness it, because it might be brilliant. It might be amazing, and I just have no idea what it's going to look like. But they're going to try again tonight, and I need to decide whether to try to photograph it again or not. At least there won't be 2 concurrent live streams going on tonight. There'll just be one. But it's always a I don't know, struggle, but it's a decision that I have to make, whether to just give up on my dreams of photographing things and serve the needs of the viewers and babysit the live stream at home, or go out and try to have an adventure. Because doing both usually does not work out so well. But we shall see. Astronomy Films says in a few days in a few days the moon will be too high. If that happens, you won't be able to see the green cloud vapor, so the moon will be interfering with their ability to properly observe the experiment. Mark Desire, the Taikonauts should launch on June 10th, according to the German source I frequently visit. Thank you for that detail. Alright, astronomy films with... Okay. Astronomy films with a broken link. Nope. That is an incomplete link. Oh, there it is. Huh. Interesting. It looks kind of like a fuzzy comet. Okay, here, I'll put this picture up on the thingamajiggy here. There you go. So there's the green. So like I said, the green neutral barium vapor disperses in a symmetrical pattern. And the ionized purple barium vapor disperses along the magnetic field lines, which is why you see sort of that purple line coming away from that. So that is not what I would call a brilliant display, but that's pretty interesting. So it's not going to cover the sky with... Station 240 says I should take Dishy to the golf course. I could do that. I could definitely do that because that is close to my home location, and I think that the Starlink service is configured so that the satellites will only provide data service to people if they are close to home. Sort of not so much as a gotcha, but rather as a load balancing technique to only worry about customers in specific areas at a specific location. But that's close to home because I tried to set up Starlink to work about 35 miles away from here at a friend's house, and I was not successful. It kept saying that it was obstructed and that it couldn't get a signal, and I wasn't sure what was going on because they did have a tall tree in their front yard, but most of the sky was clear. And I wanted to do some more experiments with Starlink, but I worked really hard to route the Starlink cable up and over the inside of my garage door, through the wall, and into my office. And actually, my my Starlink modem is right here on the shelf. Right here. So I actually specifically did that because I wanted the Starlink modem to be visible during my streams because I thought that would be very cool. Unfortunately, the Starlink cable, I guess for weatherproofing reasons, the Starlink cable is hardwired into the dish. I can't unplug it. Therefore, I can't get like a backup cable or an extra cable. And in order to take my Starlink dish anywhere, I have to unplug it from the modem. I have to grind out the spackle that I sealed the wall with because I didn't want a big gaping hole into my garage where the bugs could come through. So I'm going to have to reopen that hole, fish it back through the hole, undo all my routing of the cable over the garage door, which involves, winding it through, not winding it, but pushing it back up and through, the garage door apparatus, and packing it all up. I'm not really sure I want to do that because then it would be a lot of work to put it back together again. But I feel like I should do it because I really want to do some more experimentation with the Starlink satellite. I guess here's the deal. All right. So I proved today that the current Starlink service is not really ready for streaming, for uploading to a stream. or for gaming, because you're going to get periods of ratty comms or lost signal or dropouts. It's going to mess up your game. It's going to mess up your stream. You can browse with it, but you know, you may have some refreshing to do occasionally. When you have a connection, it's going to be fast, especially downstream, but there are interruptions. So since I can't reliably use it to stream yet, I probably should go ahead and deroute my cable, run it back through the wall, not undo the work I did, but just take the cable back out, and that will let me do some more experimentation. You know, take Dishy to. Oh, I also got, and you probably, yeah, you actually can see it in the background there. No, you can't. I'm in the way. Boop, boop, boop. Wrong way. Here. Okay, right next to the chair. Do you see a plug going into the wall and a little device? Here, I'll point it. Right there. That's actually a power consumption monitoring device, like a kilowatt, K-I-L-L-A-W-A-T-T, kilowatt. What it does is it monitors how much power that the Starlink power unit is consuming. So once I look at the numbers on there, I will know whether or not my power inverter that I got from my Tesla will provide enough wattage and amperage for the Starlink dish. And if that's the case, then I can go ahead and take the dish on the road to the golf course or to a parking deck or wherever and experiment with it. So maybe I'll do that next weekend. That sounds like a fun Saturday thing to do, because of course Sunday is tied up with Space Week. But all right, any more questions? Let's see here. Oh, Jonathan Dolph mentioned the parking garage. Geraldine Braun, when I was watching them lower the Black Brant rocket for storage, is that a feasible way to store a ready-to-launch rocket like that? Yes, because Black Brant is not a liquid-propelled rocket. They don't have to fuel the rocket. It's a solid-propelled rocket, like a solid rocket booster, or a Vega, for that matter. Vega is a solid-propelled rocket. And we know what kind of record Vega has. Sorry, but so yeah, it's just a solid polymerized. It's basically like a rubber almost, like a plastic that's in there that's packs a powerful punch, has a very high specific impulse. But Illinois captive. I may have answered this question already, but after reading Starlink's FAQ, frequently asked questions, I was under the impression that the dish is linked specifically to your home location and you can't take it with you. So the wording of the terms of service is, it could be interpreted to have some ambiguity. It says, well, but it's maybe not, because it says Starlink is to be used only at your home location. Nobody else can use it, yada, yada, yada. It was my interpretation of that text that their intention was that the person who's paying for Starlink is the one who uses Starlink, and that you couldn't let, your neighbors use it, or, like use it for some sort of public or commercial event or something like that. But in fact, there seems to be the satellites themselves. It's my understanding that there is basically a grid of cells on the ground, and as they pass over those cells, they only provide service to the dish owners within each individual cell. And I can only guess that that's used as a method of load balancing to reduce the the load on the satellites, because they're not worrying about people outside of the cell that they're over. They're only worrying about like one cell at a time or whatever. So if that's the case, now they have stated, and they do plan to make Starlink available for mobile applications, like for example on a truck or a mobile home, a motor home, like an RV. And I don't know if that will be a different dish. I don't know if the technology will be different. I don't know if the cost will be different. But if that's the case, then, you know, if I have to like get a different dish or whatever, it would probably be worth it for me, because I really want the ability to use Starlink on the road. You know, so for example, I could go to Cocoa Beach, and is that the name of the beach? Yeah, I could go to wherever. I could go to Boca Chica and have a rock solid, connection in a location that does not have any easy access to cell towers. I know that the folks who live stream from down there have to jump through all sorts of hoops in order to get a good signal, because it's, launch sites are not placed in locations where there are lots of cell towers. All right. MVM Motovlog Music asks, Raw Space, are you paying a monthly fee for the Starlink service or not yet? Yes, there's definitely a monthly fee. So I don't know if the pricing is going to change once it's no longer considered to be in the beta phase, but currently the price is $499 US for the one-time fee for the equipment, which is actually a deal, because the dish costs SpaceX approximately $1,500 to build, so they're actually losing $1,000 on every dish that they sell. And I believe that the dish is mine. I don't think that's a deposit. I think the dish is actually mine to keep, which is cool. But kind of like DirecTV, you get the service and the dish is just yours forever. They don't take it back. All they want back is the modem. But in any case, and then the monthly fee is $99. So it's a little more expensive than a premium tier data service like Google Fiber, gigabit internet, or either Google Fiber or AT&T Fiber. Gigabit fiber internet for $70 a month where I live. I think, the price may vary depending on your location, but so Starlink is $99 a month. So it's a little pricey, but if you live in some place where your internet connection really sucks, or you would like to cut the cord and not not be bound to landlines, then, Starlink's definitely an option. Just bear in mind that the signal interruptions that I experience, that the Starlink system currently experiences, will become less and less and go away as they continue to build out the mega constellation. Because even though they have 1,600 odd satellites up there currently, the plan is for 12,000 or more, and that'll take years to deploy. I mean, at the current rate of an average of 1.5 Starlink launches per month, it will actually almost take them about 10 years to fully deploy those 12,000 satellites. But I think they're going to be increasing their launch cadence. Oh, I didn't mention when I was talking about the Zhurong rover earlier. There's been a lot of sort of grumbling online about the secrecy of the Chinese space program, how they didn't, live stream the mission control or let people know what was going on, or send any photos of the, the lander on the surface of Mars. But yeah, that's the thing. They're very secretive administration, and they don't like to release information before it has been thoroughly vetted and filtered. So it is what it is. Hopefully they succeed for the sake of science. But all right, Astronomy Films, thank you for that donation. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah. So Astronomy Films says he was looking into purchasing Starlink, but the hardware is expensive and the service is expensive, and it's not worth it since he already has fiber optic internet. So yeah, I mean, if you already have a good internet connection, Starlink probably isn't worth it for you. But if you're in what they call an underserved location, if you're in the boonies, or you have, like let's say DSL is your only internet option. Well, DSL sucks. So then it's definitely worth considering. Just be aware that you'll need some patience when it comes to streaming type applications like games and videos and things like that, because the service is still being rolled out. It's a long rollout. Oh, sound effect. Sam Valashek. The sound effects were in the kitchen. All right, so I guess that wraps it up for this week. What a rambling episode this was. I'm sorry for that. I tried to prepare as best I could, but I was running on not very much sleep. I just woke up a couple hours ago, so there you go. Let me see if BennuCam is... Nope, no BennuCam. All right, well, I'll fix BennuCam later. But for now, keep it raw. I'll see you hopefully for the Black Brant stream tonight. Coverage should start around 7:40 p.m. Eastern, 11:40 p.m. GMT. And until then, take care.